writing and completing the rough draft of your book can be one of the things that can be the biggest holdups in the entire book process. And so I want to share with you 4 hacks to write your rough draft quickly. And I'm not going to beat around the bush here. This is going to be very, very tactical. And immediately after this, if you are in the process of writing your rough draft or getting ready to write your rough draft, I want you to implement 1 to 2 or even all of these, because it's going to be really, really valuable as you move forward to help you get your rough draft. This is the same process, the same hacks that I use when I write my books. I use these same 4 hacks to write 30,000+ words for a full rough draft of Big Idea to Bestseller in 17 days, spending less than an hour a day. These 4 hacks are going to be able to be something that will really help you optimize your time, your energy, your effort, so that you can write a great book, do it in a short amount of time, and also still be able to live your life, whether it's running your business, being a present parent, or just doing the things that you love to do. So number 1 is you need to get organized. The hack number 1 is getting organized. And I like to think of this as both in your technical organization as well as your physical environment organization. So the first step of getting organized is your tech setup. A lot of people try to overcomplicate this, but here's really all you need to write a great rough draft. I personally encourage people to use Microsoft Word. That is a very, very great way to write your rough draft. That's what I use. I encourage a lot of people to use that. And then after every writing session, I will copy and paste into a Google Doc. And what this does is this allows me to have Microsoft Word as my home base, and then it allows me to have Google Doc and Google Drive as a backup in case something happens to one of my versions. This is a great way to stay organized, know that I know exactly where my book is, and also to be able to separate it, or depending on how you're working on your book, whether it's with a co-writer, whether it's working with a ghostwriter, whether it's working with a coach or whatever it is, you can have another way to get eyeballs on it and suggestions in the same time. So the second part of this is setting up and organizing your physical environment. So a big thing is clean up your environment. Find a space that you really like to write. Okay, now, depending on your schedule, depending on what your job is, depending on where you work from, this can be making sure that your home office is set up. But maybe you're even like, you know what? I don't like writing in my home office. I'm more creative in the guest room or in the apartment complex, work from home space, whatever it is. I want to challenge you to find an environment that when you go there, you can feel confident and excited about writing your book. If you like writing in an airport, great. Go to an airport and get there early for your flight and write. Okay. Really though, the biggest thing here is make sure that your environment is clean. Make sure your environment is an area that creates inspiration and let the juices flow. The second big hack that I want to share with you to help you write your rough draft quickly is to get book time on the calendar and to make sure that you have time on the calendar that you can consistently show up for. The more consistently you show up for these times on your calendar, the more likely you are to move forward at the pace you want to move forward with. So there are often 2 key ways that people respond best to when writing their rough draft. And this is what we've seen after working with 100+ different authors. And it comes down to one of 2 ways. The first way that you can get time on your calendar is by doing 30 to 60 minute chunks very consistently 4 to 5 times a day. 4 to 5 times a week. And what this allows you to do is just show up consistently. It becomes a top priority. It becomes something that you don't just move off the calendar when things get inconvenient. It's something that you don't move off for something else. You treat this as 30 to 60 minutes of uninterrupted CEO time or you time, okay? The other way though, depending on your schedule, depending on how creative you are, is to create 2 to 3 larger time blocks per week. So maybe you know that Monday afternoons are a great time for you. Set aside 2 hours and commit to it, okay? I'm not asking you to commit to this schedule for the rest of your life. If you follow these hacks and you follow the process, you can write a great rough draft in about 30 days, okay? So it's 4 weeks of consistent action to get through this rough draft portion and to do it really, really well and effective. So time on your calendar is critical. Make it consistent, show up for that time, honor yourself to show up for that time, and then do it either in short 30, 60-minute blocks more often, or 2 to 3 hour chunks less often, depending on your schedule and your creative flow. The third hack, and these all add on to each other, right? Getting organized, making sure the tech's set up, making sure your environment's good, getting time on your calendar, making sure you know when you're best optimized to work. And then number 3 is to get clear on your outline. So before you write any words, I encourage you to create a really good outline. Now, your outline is super critical because it sets the stage. It eliminates a lot of the writer's block, a lot of the confusion of what to write, when to write it. A great outline will have great structure and will have the initial framework for what you expect to write within each chapter. It will also serve as a great reminder for what you need to include where and when. It'll also serve as a great reminder and check-in for when you move to the next chapter and you're like, oh, you know what? I kind of mentioned this. Let me review my outline and then get back into it. So it gives you the roadmap. It creates clear direction, and having a great outline is often what allows you to move forward faster. What I often see is that people that have a great outline, and not every great outline means that it has to be super, super detailed. A great outline means you, for your style, know what you're going to say, when you're going to say it, what stories you're going to use, and the amount of detail that's on the outline is more or less up to your personal preference of what you need. Let me give an example on this. We have some people that we work with who their outlines are super, super in depth. So they're writing tons of bullet points. They're talking about the story and bullet pointing the entire story out. We have other clients who get the chapter, get the story they want to write about, get the message that they want to share, and that's all that they need because they know exactly what they want to say and how to articulate it already. Some people want more up front. Some people want less up front. Whatever way works for you is what will work for you. Okay, but the key is that you have an outline that is laid out very clearly so you can just go boom, 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 chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and so on. That's very, very helpful in this process. And then here's the fourth hack. And if I'm being honest, I think this hack is the hack that might be the hardest for people, but it's also the one that makes the greatest difference. And that is get the first draft done, period. Okay. And what I mean by that specifically is don't edit as you go. If you are writing your own book, do not edit as you go, because what we see all the time, people come to me, they're like, Jake, I've tried writing my book. I've written, I've revised, and I'm only on chapter 2. This is going to take me forever. And so my encouragement to you is don't edit as you go. Expect your first draft to suck so much. Okay. Did you expect to be great at riding a bike your first time? No, but you kept on doing it and it became easier and easier. Now it's like a phrase. It's like riding a bike. It's as easy as riding a bike. If you've ever tried learning a new language or an instrument, were you perfectly fluent? No, you weren't. But you showed up and you got better and you got better. And as you got more and more further along, it became easier and easier until eventually you had it complete. Okay. This is the same thing. When you're writing your rough draft, don't expect your first take to be absolutely perfect. Okay. I don't know anybody who's written one draft of a book and that's the only one they've ever used. Okay. I really, really want to stress this. Your brain will say, I need to edit this. I need to revise this as I go. But the speed and the ability to finish the book is going to be dependent on if you're willing to just allow yourself to be imperfect, to write it out. And then once you're done, you will then have time to edit yourself, work with a team of editors, and much, much more. So the 4 things that I really want to share to help you finish and write a rough draft quickly is number 1, get organized. Number 2 is get time on the calendar. Number 3 is get clear on your outline. And number 4 is get the first draft done and don't edit as you go. When you follow these, it's going to make the writing process so much simpler because you've eliminated all of the other obstacles and you've enabled yourself just to focus on the writing. And then you can start writing and you're going to finish it within 30 days. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And you're going to have a full book. And you'll be able to take that book and you'll be able to go to the next phases. It's much, much, much easier to move on with the book process once you have the book written. Okay. You actually can't publish a book if the book never gets written. Okay. So I really want to encourage this. And when you follow this, you're going to be able to write a rough draft much quicker than you thought. You're going to be able to overcome some of the blocks that you're currently facing, and you're going to be able to execute at an incredibly high level. So if you want to learn more about this, I go deeper into the rough draft, the outlining phase, and every part of the book process in my book, Big Idea to Bestseller. And so if you would like a free copy of that book, text the word free to 661-669-7363, and I'll send you over a free digital copy of my book, Big Idea to Bestseller. That's what I got, and I wish you the best of luck as you write your rough draft.